This clip disturbing.
We're trying to locate 26 lost children along with their driver.
This is a story that stopped the nation dead in its tracks. July 1976. A bus full of children on their way home from summer school held at gunpoint by three masked men, forced into a trailer and then buried underground. The kidnappers hoping to be paid a huge ransom.
The bus has been found. There are no signs of violence, and there are only horrified guesses as to what may have happened.
Ultimately, after 28 hours, somehow they managed to escape, and authorities were quick to say there was, quote, no indication of harm. That was something child psychiatrist Dr. Lenore Terror did not believe.
The kids were not okay. Somebody got a psychiatrist to come to town, and he made a prediction. He said, one kid in this 26 is going to have a problem. But what happened was that no parent wanted to admit that his kid was the one in 26. By the time I got out there, 100% of those kids were having problems.
Well, there was no diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder in 1976. It not only didn't exist for children, it didn't exist for adults either. There was no protocol. There was no way that we knew how to respond after this event at that time.
They did what they thought was best: send the kids on a trip to Disneyland, never speak about it again, and just allow those children to move on with their lives. It didn't work.
The trip to Disneyland was an intrusion into the nightmare. That's all it was.
But children are resilient. They will forget. Best not to bring it up because that could cause harm. That seemed to be the thinking, right?
I think that there was the wish that children would recover, forget about the event, and go on with their lives as though it never happened.
Even when the kidnappers were caught, there were court hearings, and they continued to bring up this question of harm.
There's very little physical damage at all, and practically it's a non-existence.
There is no physical harm here. That was their case. Can we say definitively that emotional trauma causes physical harm?
Well, I think it causes brain changes, and the brain is a physical object. So in that regard, I would have to say yes. But I think the most important issue is that the psychological, emotional harm is robust. It's life-altering, and it is of a magnitude comparable to a physical harm.
Life-altering, which is exactly what Dr. Terror found after studying the children of Chochilla for 5 years. And it was her work that paved the way to accepting that childhood trauma was real, and it produced long-lasting effects.
From a scientific standpoint, it was a landmark event. And now we know how to assess them, diagnose them, and offer them treatment. And the Chochilla work of Lenore Terror, and then subsequent work by others, has established child PTSD as legitimate.
But for Terror, the children of Chochilla are the ones who made the biggest impact.
They paved the way for us to understand more contemporary things. What happens when you force children away from their parents at a border? What happens to children at some of these horrible school shootings?
Because of the Chochilla kidnapping, there were counselors at Columbine after the shooting. There are counselors at nightclubs after shootings.
Chochilla children are heroes, and they continue to teach us what childhood trauma is 46, 47, 48, 50 years after the fact.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN, reporting.